Hello, and welcome to the 11th episode of Columbus Local Podcast. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce Chance Danison. And, Chance, say hello.
Hello. That sounded so good to say.
Yes, sir. And, it's awesome that you're here because I've known you a long time,
Yes.
and it's a pleasure to have seen your career, okay, from your beginnings, which was in one of the suburbs in Columbus, Ohio,
Yeah.
where one of my sons, kind of hung out with you for
Yeah.
a little while. And so, were you born in Columbus?
So I was born in Columbus, Ohio. My family is from Groveport, Canal, Winchester area. And then when I was like 6 years old, we moved to New Albany, Ohio. And my first day of school, kindergarten, I was with your son, Anthony. And it was awesome. I'll never forget. I think for the first few weeks, I think he ate the same thing every day for lunch. I think it was a bagel from Tim Hortons. I'm pretty sure it was or some kind of bagel every day.
And plain cream cheese.
Plain cream cheese. That's it. I tried to trade for that every day.
He ate that every day for, I think it was 5 years.
Hey, you don't need anything else. That's
Bless
all
his heart. He's not as selective as he was when he was a youngster, but
It's all right.
he's I'm proud of him. He's a good man.
He's a good kid.
And so, for you, you've come a long way with music, and you've come a long way from the corduroy jacket.
I should have known. I should have known
So
this was coming.
what's the story with that?
So I think I want to say it was like seventh grade, maybe seventh grade. We had to for English class, we had to write a Greek myth play, and I remember writing it in like 5 minutes before class started because I'm a procrastinator. And so I waited till the last minute, and I wrote this play out, and my play ended up getting picked to be performed in front of the seventh grade class. And like pretty much the whole school came out for it. I remember like we were in the cafeteria stage, we performed it. And I put some rhymes, some raps in there. And at the time I was kind of a little pudgy. And so my mom had bought me this corduroy jacket from Kohl's. And my friends, who shall remain nameless, but who might end up being named on this podcast later, they were kind of like poke fun of the fact that I had a lot of baby weight still. So I wrote a rap about this corduroy jacket, and I ended up performing it. Kind of like went off the cuff during the Greek play performance and decided just to do the rap. And I think it was born and died there.
But was that your first song, though? Was that your first?
Oh no! I think when I was 10 years old, I first started playing music. So I went to New York, and my sister lived down the street from a guy in Long Island. His name was Joe. I don't remember his last name. And she said, "Hey, my friend Joe heard you want to start playing music with your buddies in your little band that you're getting together." And so I said, "Yeah, that's exactly right. I do. I want to start playing music. I want to play guitar." She said, "Well, I want you to go down to his house down the street." So she just sent me to his house. Looking back, this is like number one way to get kidnapped. She sent me to a stranger's house. I was 10 years old. He goes, "Yeah, come down to my basement. I got to show you something."
No way.
It just sounds like the beginning of Criminal Minds.
Yeah, I'll say.
So he takes me in his basement, and he has... This sounds terrible, right? He's got like 30 guitars hanging from the rafters in his basement. And he gives me a Warlock guitar, and he says, "Here, he said, play this." I said, "I don't know how to play." So he taught me to play Smoke on the Water, and I played it over and over and over again. And then I left his house, escaped. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I went back to Ohio, and I probably after a few months, my parents probably got sick of me playing Smoke on the Water every day. So it was easier just to kind of make up songs on my own. I think the first song I wrote was actually for a guy named Mookie Klaus, who you know.
I do.
I wrote it for his cousin who had passed away of cancer. And it was called Monday Morning. And I wrote that, and then after that, all I did was write songs, and I still write songs. I wish I could write songs as easily as I did when I was 10 years old. I wish it came a little easier like it did back then. But yeah, that was probably 10.
Well, good for you. And, your style of music today is like vintage country, kind of or otherwise known as red dirt, right?
Red dirt, or Texas country, or cowboy country. Yeah, it's a lot of names. It's just country.
Have you ever been to Green Hall?
I have not been to Green Hall. I've driven by Green Hall. Obviously, that would be awesome to play Green Hall.
Oh my
Awesome
gosh!
venue.
I tell you what, I had the good fortune of being there, and I saw a show, but just one time. It was one evening, but reading the walls
Oh yeah.
is a musical just journey that is just unreal.
It's amazing
the
who's played
history
there.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, George Strait's played there, and
Oh, ZZ Top,
ZZ Top's been
Delbert
there.
McClinton.
Yeah.
I mean, all the Steve Ray Vaughan. I mean, just it goes on and on and on.
You'd never guess too when you drive past that place, you don't realize what's inside. But it's just like a very traditional concert hall.
Yeah, and it just blew me away.
Yeah.
It really did. And so you got to do that.
Yeah, I would love
You
to.
got to play there.
I've got to. I would like to play there, and I would love to play inside Billy Bob's Texas at some point. World's largest honky tonk. Those are all very steep goals, very high goals. But
You could do it. You're at that level. I believe to step in there.
yeah, I would love to.
So red dirt. What is that all about?
So red dirt country is pretty much it's just another way to describe country music that you don't hear on mainstream radio, is what I would say. So if you listen to pop country radio, you've got like people like Morgan Wallen, and you've got Luke Bryant, and you've got just all these it's pop country is what I would call it. Some people have called it bro country. Some people have called it boyfriend country. It's all country music. But Nashville has pretty much bought up mainstream country radio, whereas red dirt music is, it has its own stations within Oklahoma, Texas, and Arizona, New Mexico, places like that. And it's more traditional country. It's more storytelling, in my opinion. You've got guys like, and it's more cowboy, I would say, too. Whereas like a lot of guys that are on pop radio right now, or pop country radio, I should say, they're singing about going out to the lake and, their truck and drinking beers. And don't get me wrong, cowboys do that too. And people out west do that too. But I think country music has gotten away from poetic storytelling.
Gotten away from its roots, right?
Yeah, it's all propaganda.
Yeah.
So if you listen to any red dirt country, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to find artists that are really great storytellers. And that's kind of what I've always wanted to be, is a storyteller. So, and, red dirt covers guys like Cody Johnson. You could even look up bands that I like are guys like Reckless Kelly, Cross Canadian Ragweed, which is not together anymore. But if we wanted to go more modern, Randall King, guys like Tyler Halverson. There's a guy named Kenny Fiedler who is really big in kind of like prairie country, or but he's kind of like rock and country at the same time. He's definitely red dirt country for sure. But there's just all these guys that I think most of America really don't know about, and I gotta say, I think they're better songwriters than what Nashville puts out, even. But that's just my opinion.
Well, it's something that you're a part of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's your genre of where you live and breathe, and where you're drawn. How did you find yourself in that genre?
So when I grew up in a family that we rodeoed. My dad, his dad, my grandpa, he rodeoed, And so my dad rodeoed, my brother rodeoed. My brother and I both competed for college rodeo teams. My brother was an assistant coach and athlete at University of Tennessee Martin. And I competed for Weatherford College in Texas. So when I graduated from New Albany, I didn't even know, I didn't know I was going to go to college. But when I found out I was eligible to go to any college, my grades were so bad. When I found out I could go to any college and do what I loved, which was rodeoing, that's what I wanted to do. So I had played music from when I was 10, probably to when I was 13 or 14. And I really took a big hiatus from it, from 14 to 19, I would say. But I'm really lucky because the guys that I did play music with, I got the full tour. I got to do everything a guy could ever want to do if you wanted to learn how to play music. I got to play in an awesome band. I got to play at awesome venues. I got to write music and record music every day. I'm at a guy named Mookie Klaus's house. His dad
nice.
and his dad Mike had built a little studio in the basement, and I was very lucky. My parents would just let me stay over there all the time, and we would just do nothing but write songs and play music. And then so I took a break, and I started rodeoing when I was about 13 or 14, and that kind of piqued my interest a little more. And I put the guitar down for a while, and when I went to college to rodeo on the Weatherford College rodeo team, I wasn't the most talented rodeo athlete on the team. There were guys there, oh my gosh, so talented. Collegiate national champions, professional bull riding Canadian champions were my roommates. Guys like Jared Parsonage, Landon Williams, Cody Mahaffey. Those were my first three roommates. Just really talented guys from all over the world, from Canada, from Idaho to Tennessee, Adam Jensen. Just really great guys. And when I quickly realized I was kind of like the guy that had a lot of work to do, had a lot of teeth cutting to do, I needed to figure out a way to fit in. So I kind of cracked that guitar back out. And I know that they really enjoyed. I would write dirty country songs. I would write these dirty country songs. It was a way to kill time.
Absolutely.
We would drive like 9 hours to these college rodeos, and oftentimes we'd stay at a rodeo the whole weekend, and I didn't have a fancy horse trailer with living quarters to stay in, so most of the night we'd stay up, probably partaking in too much beer, but I just ended up writing these dirty country songs, and I just wanted to make people laugh. And so that kind of transpired into going to open mics. But there were like open mic comedy places or just generic open mic. And I think after my college years, I quickly realized, I need to get a job. I can't, college wasn't really for me. I realized rodeo is very expensive. So I was like, okay, how do I stay connected to rodeo? I can't do it by, winning a lot of money because I'm just not that good. These other guys are way better than me, but I still love the culture of rodeo. I love the people. And so the easiest way for me to do that was, okay, well, how can I play music for these guys at rodeos to where, the fans already bought a ticket to get into the rodeo and I can give them entertainment afterwards? Can I write songs that they listen to going down the road? And then I basically packed up all my stuff and moved to Arizona. And I initially thought I was going to move to California and I was going to do improv comedy. I talked to a guy who was a stunt double for Russell Crowe, and I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there and be a Western stunt double and try to get into comedy and acting. And on my way out there, a friend of mine named Louis Resnick was living in Phoenix at the time.
Oh, sure.
And Louis plays the drums. He was a part of a band at the time called the Sink or Swim. And I had played music with Louis growing up on and off. And he said, you need to come play music and you need to live with us. So we had 4 guys living in a house in Tempe, Arizona. And I got a job out there cleaning pools via a good friend of mine named Chelsea Stodgel. She was very kind enough to contact her uncle, who gave me a job cleaning pools. And so I lived with these guys. I lived on their floor. I didn't even have a room, but I had a job, which I'm not sure if any of them had a job. There was 4 of them living in this house, but I had a job.
Yeah, I'm friends with Lewis's dad. You know, we played in band together. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, he's amazing
Locally
too.
here. Oh yeah,
But
great people.
I was living out there on their floor, and had a great job cleaning pools. I'd get up at like 4:00 in the morning, which they'd get done playing a show, and it'd be like
Rolling
2 or
in.
3 o'clock in the
We're
morning.
rolling in. You're rolling out.
Oh my gosh! And I was like, they would let me sell merchandise at their shows for them. But what it really taught me to gig. I never gigged before on my own. I didn't know how to book a gig. I only had, a bunch of songs I'd written. But they kept encouraging me, and they were like, man, you need to record some music. So I just thought it was a bright idea I was like, I'm going to quit this pool job. I became probably not the best employee. Sorry, Chelsea, and sorry to your uncle. I probably was thinking about music a little too much, and he was kind of more focused on that. And very quickly, I lost that pool cleaning job, and rightfully so. I'd been telling a lot of the people's house. I cleaned Wayne Gretzky's pool on
cool.
Sundays.
Very cool.
Or a house that he owned, but I never got to see him. But quickly I was, telling people while I'm cleaning the pools, like, yeah, I'm getting into music, and I think I'm gonna, record an album and hit the road. I think word got back to my boss, and he was like not having it. So, but yeah, I sold my truck that my dad bought me. I sold a Duramax truck. I bought a '88 Chevy camper van.
Nice job.
Yeah, it was had historic plates on it, 400,000+ miles, no insurance, no tags. I bought it for like $600 after I'd spent the rest of the truck money on like a new Martin guitar, Fender acoustic amp, CDs. I bought CDs.
Things that you needed.
Yeah. I recorded my first EP. Within a week, I think maybe the week that I got fired, I recorded a 3-song EP with a guy named Michael Beck that Lewis and Nate Zani referred me to. Shout out to Neil Ehrlich too, because Neil Ehrlich, Nate Zani, and Louis Resnick all played, and Ben Ehrlich, Neil's brother Ben, who helped me out a lot, they all played on my first EP because I didn't know anybody.
Oh wow! So that they were a part of the arrangement in the band.
Yeah, and it was fun
backline.
because they played rock music, and so they weren't really familiar
Sink or
with country.
Swim was a I don't think they're still together, but
They should be though.
That was a fun project to see really evolve. I mean, and my son Anthony was hired to create their logo.
Yeah.
So he so there's another Anthony tie-in for you,
Yeah.
but with those guys. But so yeah, Sink or Swim was very talented.
Very electric band to watch, and probably the best guys that could have been around to learn how to book. Louis Resnick is,
Percussionist.
He's a phenomenal percussionist, but more than that, he's great when it comes to being involved in the community of music, which is what your podcast is all about. He is a guy that I watched. He would, if you wanted tickets to a show, he's going to drive 30 minutes to bring you your tickets and thank you for purchasing them. He was great at working with, the people who own the event venues, and he pretty much taught me how to book. And but yeah, those guys they helped me pretty much understand what it took to hustle. And within a course of a few weeks after I had that van, I convinced Ben Ehrlich and Neil Ehrlich. Neil was a part of the Sink or Swim as a great bass player. I convinced them to go with me from Arizona to Texas for my first gig. My first real gig with a band. And so we convoyed to Weatherford, Texas, where I went to college, and I was going to play at the Blind Horse Saloon. We took 2 cars out there with another friend of theirs. I took my van, and I remember telling them, whatever you do, don't drive through El Paso Border Patrol. Go through Albuquerque. And I don't know if I should tell this on this podcast, but I'm going to because I think it's hilarious.
Oh, man.
So we go.
I don't edit.
That's it. It's perfect. It's okay.
What happens, happens.
So I wake up to dogs barking at our van, and both vehicles have been pulled into the lanes that they tell you to pull over into at Border Patrol in El Paso.
After you told them, don't drive through there.
You know what? The lesson learned here is take the first shift driving. I should have taken the first shift. So they're telling us to get out of the van and get out of the other car. And they're like, hey, our dogs detect that there might be material in the van. I'm like, oh, God, what are you guys doing? I'm like, I told you we don't need to bring anything. We're good, anything. I'm thinking, what could it be? And they didn't hardly find anything in there. But we were detained for like 30 minutes with zip ties. And I remember thinking, like, these guys, their mom is going to kill me. I kidnapped them and took them across the country. And within the first, half a day, we're already getting pulled over. But they said, we didn't find anything. We're going to let you guys go. We have bigger issues to worry about. And so we were back on the road and still made the gig in time.
Oh, man. That's the important thing, right?
It's the important thing. So we made it to Weatherford, and I think I'd booked between that August or September, I believe, I had booked, some pretty cool gigs for a guy. I didn't have, my music had just been released. It was on SoundCloud.
You're driving around in your historic vehicle.
My creeper van. It was my home. It was my home.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big deal, man.
It was. And so Neil and his friend, they left. They left us in Texas, and it was just Ben and I, and we convoyed up to Ohio. And then Ben left for some personal reasons. I think it was his first time away from home, and I probably wasn't the most promising guy to be on the road with. I'm telling him, like, we got all these gigs booked, man. Don't worry about it. We're going to live in this van. His parents are thinking, what the heck is this guy doing taking our son
Life of the musicians, man.
Yeah, I was okay with taking the risk. So it was probably a good thing that I ended up being on my own. But I remember that first year I played at American Airlines Center for the ERA Rodeo Finals in Dallas, Texas. I got asked to come play out in Las Vegas, Nevada for the National Finals Rodeo. And
you're a rodeo person yourself. Like, yeah. You're doing these events at these rodeos, or is it a whole separate?
So when it first started, no, I just had a song. So I wrote. The only reason I was getting any of this booked was because of a song I wrote, like sitting on a toilet. I was living in Texas. It was right before I moved to Arizona, in fact. And I had just gone to my last rodeo back home in Ohio. And I just got back to Texas, and I was thinking, man, it's probably the last rodeo I'm going to go to for a long time. And so I started thinking, man, I've had so much fun rodeoing, but I can't really tell you how I competed in the arena. I can't remember much of that, but I can remember every good time I had hanging out with people and all the parties and the honky-tonks and the traveling. And that's what rodeoing's really about.
Yeah.
And so I thought, man, who embodies that more than anyone? And it came to me, this guy named Wade Sundell. Wade Sundell, and no one that listens to your podcast is going to know who this guy is, but I encourage you to look him up. He is he's a saddle bronc riding, wild man. He rides bucking horses that are, they'll stomp you into the ground, they'll buck you off. He's got a beard. He's got crazy long hair. He wears sunglasses. He likes to party. Always a positive guy. Has won millions of dollars rodeoing. And
is he still doing it?
Oh, he's still doing it. And so I thought, man, if I ever make it into rodeo heaven, I want to party like Wade Sundell.
Dude, good for you.
So I sat down. I wrote it in
There's
5
your
minutes.
hook.
Yeah, it was 5 minutes. Took me 5 minutes on that toilet. I posted it on Facebook the next day. 167,000 views.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy.
Yeah, man. No, I love your music. Like Red Dirt is a thing for me.
Yeah.
And so those inspirations are dreamy, you know. They're idealistic and they're very personal, right?
Very, very personal. And, if it wasn't for Wade, I don't know if I would be as lucky as I am today. So shout out to Wade Sundell. Thank you. Because if it wasn't for you, I probably would not get to do what I love for a living. But yeah, that song.
That's so awesome, man.
It's taken me a lot of places.
Well, and speaking of lucky now, what's with your name Chance?
So, the rumor has it that
So it's not confirmed, or
I can't confirm nor deny.
nor deny.
So I am the youngest of 4 kids, and the next closest sibling to me is 11 years older than me, my sister Emily. So I have my brother Zach, my sister Heather, and my other sister Emily. And Heather is much older than me. She's 21 years older than me. And I'm not going to say my age. I don't want to give away her age. She's still very young and vibrant. But there's a big gap there. And so I think my parents were kind of done having kids. And by chance, I came along, and I probably ruined 2 retirements. They were like 45 when they had me.
But look at what you're doing. It's good stuff.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I was born when I was born, because I got to see all my siblings grow up, and I think my parents were in a really good place, and I was able to have everything and anything I pretty much wanted growing up. I'm very spoiled looking back. Had it way too good. So if it wasn't for my parents and my siblings and where we lived in New Albany, it was a great place to get an education. And
oh yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I definitely feel like I've had a lot of second chances too. So my name has followed me my whole life with positive vibes. Though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So that was your first hit record, right?
Yeah, I would say for me, I don't know how big it is, but for me,
personal and successful.
Yeah, it ended up being listened to way more than I ever thought it would, and reaching way more people than I ever.
Just from grassroots.
Yeah, just
production.
I mean, I'll be watching, streaming, some kind of cowboy rodeo channel, and I'll hear it playing on TV. I'll hear it. It's a bumper sticker for people. It's a way of life for people now. It's it's really cool, and I hope that I can make some more songs like that. But I've written a lot of other songs, and I've put out a lot of other songs thanks to some great producers who have helped me as well.
You sure have. And so, how did you get into working with producers, and how many records have you made?
Yeah, so I did the EP with Michael Beck in Phoenix in 2016, and then immediately the next year I was like, I need to make more music, and I need to. I learned a lot, and I was like, it was pretty hard and fast the first EP. I was like, now I got to put more time and thought into this. So I took a job. This is really weird. My brother Zach sent me a wanted ad for a donkey basketball man. Donkey basketball is a way schools out in the country raise money for PTO and homecoming and stuff like that. So I hauled donkeys from January. After I got back from playing all those shows in Vegas, I got back and I needed a job. So I hauled donkeys from January until I want to say like March or April for a company called Buckeye Donkey Ball. And I would take these donkeys to high schools, and people would play 4-on-4 basketball while riding donkeys in gyms. And it was just me and the donkeys at a hotel every night in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Ohio, all over. And I would write music in the hotel room. I bought some recording equipment, and I would just write music. And I got in touch through a friend of mine named Jim Yoss, who I was put in touch with by another friend, Aaron Pusscarriage from Cadiz, Ohio, Piedmont, Ohio area. They put me in touch with a guy named Mark Pusscarriage. And Mark Pusscarriage is the man. He is an awesome producer. He actually produces Blues for the Cure, which is, he also does Buckeye Cruisapalooza, which raises a lot of money for cancer research. And so I was told to contact him. I said, hey, I want to make a 10-song country album. And he had never done really a country album from what I remember. But he had some great, talented blues musicians and had worked with country artists but never recording. So we went to his place. It was called Tony's Treasure Studios. Beautiful recording studio out in the country. And so I stayed up there for a week. And I had sent him I think 20 plus songs, and we narrowed it down to 10. And I raised as much money as I could. And I had a lot of people help me pay for that album and get that album going. I want to, definitely any chance I get. Jerry and Jeff Wiley, who own Tip Dan Electric. They are two awesome guys who really believed in me, and I owe them the world. So we got everything set up. I went up there. I worked with Mark and a guy named Cody Romshak. He found me these studio musicians who were great. One of them being Roger Horde, who's a phenomenal guitarist. I was very lucky to have play on my album. Jan Roll, a guy named Smalls. Just really talented guys, veterans who knew what they were doing. And we busted it out. I had a steel player. I had a lead guitarist. I had a drummer, bass player, mandolin, fiddle player who was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Just everything I could ever hope for. And so we recorded the album. We called it Last Call, which looking back, I was like, that might be a bad omen for a first album time. But
it meant something to you, so
it meant something to me.
Yeah.
It was called Last Call. My idea with the album was to make it a kind of like Green Day's American Idiot, actually, which was like the first album I ever bought with my own money. I bought it in Chicago, and I liked the idea of like a rock opera storyline throughout the whole album. I was like, can we do that, but like a cowboy version? And so we wrote these songs. I wrote these songs, and I kind of put them in order on the album, and we busted it out. And I gotta say, it's the best stuff I've ever put out as far as an album goes. I'd like to make another one in the future, but Mark Pusscarriage for sure, great guy, does so much for the Columbus and Ohio music community, and does so much for charity, and really great guy. I was very lucky to work with him. And the next guy I worked with after him was another Mark Hill, who is from Nashville, Tennessee. So I played music after I put out Last Call for several years, and I had struggled with some personal stuff for a couple of years. So I was trying to get back to, gigging and taking care of business. And once I made up my mind that, you can do this, I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and I lived with Louis Resnick again in Nashville. Just can't get away from each other. So I lived with him and my fiance, Shelby Clift, who I love so much. I'm getting married to October 29th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She had recorded music herself. She's a phenomenal singer, way better than I am. Her whole family is super talented. Has a older brother named Zach who can shred on the guitar, one of the greatest guitar pickers I've ever heard. She had recorded music when she was younger. Her mom took her to Nashville. She recorded with a guy named Mark Hill. And so she got me in touch with him. And at the time, someone had asked me to write a song for their wedding. Brandon Daniels was his name. And he sent me, just a list of lyrics and ideas that he had. He wasn't, a songwriter or musician by any means, but he had a lot of things he wanted to say to his future bride. I said, yeah. I said, I can turn this into a song. So I turned it into a song. It's called God Had a Plan. It's the last single I put out, 2020, 2021, during the pandemic. But Mark Hill produced that for me. Awesome guy. I want to say, and I was just looking it up earlier. So Mark, I got to brag on him because Mark he's bass player for Reba McEntire, bass player for Brooks and Dunn. Still, when they play concerts, he's still a bass player for them. And I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that he just won Bass Player of the Year. And I don't know what for, if it was ACM Honors, but I think he won that in the past as well. So Mark Hill, very talented dude, and has made that song God Had a Plan what it is. So shout out to him as well. But those are the producers I've worked with.
Oh, it's so awesome. Yeah, and you reside in Tennessee now, right?
Yeah, I live in the Smoky Mountains. Yeah, I live Sevierville, Tennessee, which is now home to the world's largest Buc-ee's. Have you ever been to a Buc-ee's gas station?
I have not.
Oh, you're missing out. It is the world's largest gas station, 120 pumps. And I'm pretty sure they're known for their chopped brisket sandwiches and their beaver nuggets.
Wow.
I encourage you to go to the Buc-ee's.
Do I have to go to Tennessee for that?
No, I think they have them in Texas and Kentucky, and they'll be everywhere.
I do have relatives in Nashville.
Oh, yeah. So
which I got to talk to you about later.
Yeah. So Sevierville, Tennessee is also home to Dolly Parton.
Right on.
Yeah. So we moved there after Nashville. Shelby and I both got jobs working at Dolly Parton's Stampede and as performers. My fiance is a trick rider. And she dangles upside down from horses, basically.
Nice.
And does stunts on their backs while they're running 35 miles an hour. So she's crazy.
Is she still doing that?
Oh, yeah. We do it every weekend.
You do it?
Yeah. So we perform at rodeos every weekend from I want to say April until November. And so she trick rides, and then I'll play music afterwards or before the rodeo for people. And then sometimes, and I compete still.
Do you rope?
I still rope, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I still rope, and then sometimes I'll do her specialty act with her. I'll shoot guns off my horse and make stuff explode, and I'll stand on his back and twirl my rope around. But there's people that are way better at it than I am. She's really the talented one. So yeah, but we love the Smoky Mountains. They're awesome. We work at during the week. We work at a place called Tennessee Stud Cider. So it's hard cider. It's kind of like Red Apple Ale or Angry Orchard.
Do you guys do live shows there?
We should. We won't. We would love to because the aesthetic of the bar is very old school, but a little too small to do it there. But we do play gigs all around there. Bars like East Tennessee Billiards and the Listening Room. They have a listening room and Pigeon Forge as well, just like they have in Nashville. We actually played Gatlinburg's Chili Cook-Off last year for the opening of Winterfest, which is cool because we opened up for Hannah Dasher, who's a up-and-coming CMA or a CMT artist. She was a CMT correspondent. She's been on the Rachel Ray Show. She's had a couple spots with Fender guitar. She's very talented, but we enjoy playing music out there. It's beautiful.
So awesome. It really is.
Yeah.
And to be the youngest in your family, and how many are musical in your family aside from yourself?
0.
How blessed?
Nada.
How blessed are you, man?
I feel very blessed because my dad, growing up, I don't remember listening. Like my mom had a lot of Carole King records and Jim Croce, that's how I learned to play guitar. Really was, besides playing with my friends, I would listen to Jim Croce records, and then I would just take the needle off. If I messed up, I would take the needle off and go back. So Carole King. She loved Rod Stewart. But yeah, my dad, on the other hand, was like talk radio. It was like the Dan Patrick Show or like The Wind. I remember him just listening to The Wind while we drove down the road. So my brother tried playing the drums, tried playing guitar. I think he's better off as a tambourine man, personally, but that's just a stab at him, though.
Because he's your brother.
He's my brother. He's good at a lot of other stuff, but
Man. So where can folks find your music?
so yeah, if you go on Spotify, iTunes, I believe even Amazon Music, anywhere you can stream. Is Napster still a thing? You can
I honestly don't know.
you can still illegally download my music on Napster. But yeah, YouTube, anywhere. If you just look up Chance Danison or Last Call, anything like that, or Party Like Wade Sundell, there's tons of music on there.
Well, I'll put whichever links that you want me to in the episode notes
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
this episode 11 of
I know.
Columbus Local.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Chance, I really appreciate you making the time
Yeah.
while you're in Columbus.
Oh yeah, I would miss it. I'm so glad you invited me to come out.
Oh, for sure.
I miss Columbus, Ohio, and I was like, I've got a lot of friends that play around here, but what you're doing is really cool. And I tell them about it all the time. Like, you gotta listen
That's
to this
cool.
podcast.
Well, yeah, maybe this will get passed around, and if anyone's interested, I'm game to,
Yeah.
get involved in what they're doing. In regard to supporting their gigs if they're playing live or buying a CD or any medium that they're working with, but and even a podcast episode if they're interested, because it's a lot of fun learning about those that are from here or live here, or have some connection with Columbus, Ohio, and there's a vibe here, and local music is very special.
It's a melting pot. It's a melting pot of music.
Yeah.
There's, that when I'm lucky that I have friends like Blake Lang, who's a part of a group called 3C Highway. Shout out to them as well. And he gets booked so much around Columbus and Buckeye Lake. And if it wasn't for him and his connections and the people he knows being involved in the community, I wouldn't be able to come home and play whenever I do. So, I mean, Columbus has a really supportive community, I think, when it comes to music.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's cool, and it's not mainstream pop. It's just a whole wide range of different genres and influences. So, that you gravitated to the red dirt genre, I think makes you really unique. And when I listen to that music, I'm like, I've become a fan. I mean, I'm following. I'm waiting for the little notification that Chance Danison has released a new single or a new album or something, and so I'll be out on the wing.
2024, baby. Let me get married, and then I can get back to it. Wedding's got to come first.
Women have a way of prioritizing time.
Oh yeah.
And it's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But we'll be looking for that in 2024.
Yeah,
Chance.
absolutely.
Chance Danison, episode 11 of Columbus Local. We're about out of time here, so we appreciate everyone listening to this, and really wish you the best. Chance, thanks so much for being here today.
Awesome. Thank you. I had a great time.
You bet. Bye-bye.